You check your revenue, your bank balance, even your email, but none of it really tells you if your business is making progress. Sure, you know what's happening day to day, but you can't see if you're actually moving towards your bigger goals. Whether you've been following this series on small strategic steps or you're just jumping in, I'm Melissa James and I'm sharing how to find your success signals. The numbers that cut through all of the noise and tell you if you're actually going to achieve your top most important priorities. Comment yes if you're ready to stop guessing and start knowing. Welcome to Small Strategic Steps for a Strong Year. If you're a business owner who's tired of feeling like the business is running your life, this series is for you. Over the next 5 videos, you'll learn simple, practical steps to move from constant firefighting to confident CEO leadership. By the end of this series, you'll feel confident that you're focused on the right things in your business and not just spinning your wheels. If you've been following along with the series, you've already identified your 3 priorities, broken them down into 90-day action plans, and gotten your team aligned around that plan. Now you need to know if all that planning is actually working without micromanaging every detail. If you're just joining us, think about your biggest business priority right now. What's the one thing that would make the biggest difference for you if you made real progress on it in the next quarter or the next 12 months? You need a simple way to track whether you're winning or just staying busy. Here's what I see happening with business owners all the time. You're tracking the obvious stuff, sales, cash in the bank, maybe the big expenses, because that's what feels urgent. You know what came in and what went out, because if you don't, well, you can't make payroll or pay the bills. But when it comes to knowing whether you're actually moving the needle on the things that matter the most, you're flying blind. I worked with a business owner who knew her seasonal revenue patterns perfectly. She could predict her weekly income months in advance, but she had no idea what actually drove the growth in her business. Should she focus on the monthly service contracts that brought consistent income or the bigger project work that was more profitable but less predictable? She was tracking for survival, but not for progress. Most business owners can tell you their top line revenue or what's sitting in the bank, but they can't tell you if they're on pace to hit their bigger goals. Without that clarity, you end up constantly checking everything: bank accounts, sales numbers, even your email, because you don't have a reliable way to know if you're actually winning. Sound familiar? Hit the like button if this is hitting home, because you're not alone and most owners feel this way. But here's the good news. You don't need a dozen dashboards or complicated spreadsheets. What if I told you that one simple number could give you the confidence to make better decisions and the clarity to know if you're truly making progress on your top priorities? The key question is this: what's the one success signal that tells you if you're making real progress on what matters most? Now, how you figure this out depends on where you're at, where you're starting from in this process. If you've been following this series, go back to the 3 priorities you decided on in video 1. Then for each one, choose a single success signal, a number that tells you if that priority is on track. For example, if your priority is strengthening client retention, your success signal might be new clients completing onboarding each week. If your priority is building marketing systems, it might be qualified leads generated per week. And don't forget that whoever owns that 90-day action also owns the success signal. So if Sarah owns new onboarding process, her success signal tells you if priority number 1 is working. And if Jake owns the marketing system, his success signal tells you if priority 2 is working. But if you're just jumping in today, I want you to start simpler. I want you to focus on one overall success signal tied to your biggest business priority right now. Ask yourself, what's one number that tells me if my main focus is actually working? Examples of success signals might be things like qualified leads per week. That one number alone tells you if your marketing efforts are paying off and whether future sales are likely. For others, it might be discovery calls booked or proposals sent out. But the key is in choosing the one number that best predicts progress forward towards your biggest goal. So here's the test. If you stepped away from the business for a week and your team sent just one number, would it give you confidence that they're focused on the right priorities and making real progress on your top goal? If yes, you found your success signal. And here's why this matters. When you define a clear success signal, it doesn't just guide you, it empowers your team. They know what winning looks like. They can own the result, and you gain the freedom to step back without second guessing if the right things are getting done. Here's where most people get tripped up. They choose what I call a lagging indicator, something that reports what's already happened, like total revenue, profit margins, or last month's customer satisfaction survey. Those numbers matter for understanding your results, but they're not your success signals. Because by the time you see them, it's too late to course correct. Your success signals should be leading indicators, numbers that predict the future results and give you time to adjust if you're getting off track. Think of it this way: revenue is a lagging indicator. It tells you what happened last month based on the work you did 2 or 3 months ago. Qualified leads, on the other hand, well, they're a leading indicator. They tell you what's happening this week that will create revenue next month. Or picture it in everyday life. If your goal is to lose weight, the number on the scale is a lagging indicator. It tells you what has already happened. But calories consumed, workouts, or steps taken, they're leading indicators. They predict whether you hit your goal. The same is true in your business. The right leading indicator tells you if you're on track before the results show up. Here's the question to ask yourself: if you can influence this number through your actions this week, and it reliably predicts your future success, you found your success signal. Here's your micro win for this week. Identify your success signal for your top priorities. If you've already identified your top 3 priorities, whether from this series or on your own, make sure you have one success signal for each priority. Look at each one and ask, what's the one number that tells me if we're making real progress here? And then if someone owns that 90-day action, they should track their specific success signal. And if you're just getting started, focus on your biggest business priority right now. Ask yourself, what's the one number that tells me if my main focus is actually working? Write it down. Be specific. Not sales, but qualified leads per week. Not social media, but qualified inquiries from referrals. Either way, starting Monday, check your numbers once per week. Same day, same time. I recommend Monday mornings because it sets the tone for your week and helps you make strategic decisions about where to focus your energy. That's it. No complex tracking system, no fancy dashboard with 15 different widgets, just your success signals and 5 minutes every Monday morning to check your progress. Because this isn't about tracking everything. It's about building a rhythm that keeps you focused without getting lost in the weeds. When you have this clarity, you'll start noticing patterns. You'll see what activities actually move the needle and what's just busy work. And most importantly, you'll have the confidence to step back from day-to-day operations because you'll know your most important work is on track. What are your success signals going to be? Even if you're not 100% sure yet, drop your first thought in the comments. I'd love to see where you're leaning. I read every single one, and your ideas might even spark inspiration for someone else. And if you want help freeing up time so that you can actually track what matters, be sure to grab my free 40-hour Freedom Fast Track. It'll show you how to reclaim 40 hours this month without hiring, hustling, or staying up later. You'll find the link in the description below. Finally, don't forget to hit subscribe and ring the bell so that you don't miss next week's video, where we'll cover how to protect your CEO time so you can stay focused on leading instead of getting pulled back into the day-to-day chaos. Your business progress shouldn't be a mystery. When you know your success signals, you lead with clarity instead of chaos. And that's how you create a strong, sustainable year ahead. See you next time.